will discuss the Chapter 2 entitled Decentralization and Local Autonomy. First, let's define the decentralization. So, it refers to the degree to which the powers of the national government transferred or being shared to the local governments in both system of governments. So there is decentralization of administration when the central government delegates administrative powers to political subdivisions in order to broaden the base of government power and in the process to make local governments more responsive and accountable and ensure their fullest development as self-reliant communities. So there is a constitutional basis in making the local government or decentralization. According to Article 10, Section 14, the President shall provide for regional development councils or other similar bodies composed of local government officials for purposes of administrative decentralization to strengthen the autonomy of the units therein and so on. So, there are approaches in decentralizing governmental powers. First approach is the devolution. So, what is devolution? It also known as political decentralization involves the transfer of power, responsibility, and resources for the performance of certain functions. It aims to grant greater autonomy to local government units in cognizance of their right to self-government, to make them self-reliant, and to improve their technical capability. Let's now proceed to the local governments as municipal corporations. A municipal corporation is the body politic and corporate constituted by the incorporation of the inhabitants of a city or town for the purpose of local government, while municipal corporation assist in the civil government of the country, chiefly to regulate and administer the local internal affairs of the city, town, or district incorporated. As municipal corporations, local government have governmental and private functions. The power to create municipal corporation is inherent in sovereignty. In the Philippines, the power is vested in the legislative. Thus, Congress by law creates LGUs, although plebiscite among the affected residents is a prerequisite before actual operations. In rationale for local governments, the local governments continue to exist because of the necessary functions they perform. According to Mas, local government is presented as a matter of dividing power by area or authority. Maddox pointed out that the creation of local government unit is advantageous for the promotion of rural development. Next is deconcentration. It refers to the delegation of authority and responsibility by the central offices to the regional, district, and field offices of the national offices. But this is not involve any transfer of power and responsibility, but only delegate such to the lower hierarchical levels, primarily to facilitate the administration of national program services. Next is the privatization. It refers to the shift of ownership from financing by public money to financing by private money. This is also transfer of responsibility for certain governmental functions to the private sector. This may be operationalized through sale of government-owned corporations to the private sector, contracting private agencies for infrastructures projects. The main forms of privatization: use of non-market system in place of market system. This involves previously non-existent user charges. The objective is to allow the government to recover the cost of its operation. The forms of privatization: The privatization of a production process, except the financing aspect, entails the continued involvement of government in the financing of enterprise while allowing the private corporation to be subcontracted for its management. The government using this mode may employ strategies of franchising public functions and leasing government assets. Liberalization is carried out primarily as adjunct to the national policy with the objective of harmonizing an administrative and economic system with international norms. The, the denationalization process is one that entails a total or partial sale of a public corporation to private individuals or companies. Depending on the amount of shares divested, denationalization changes the ownership of government to a majority status or none at all. The process may also involve selling of a portion of the assets to individual buyers or to cooperative associations. The functions and NGOs or COs make government actions more responsive to the needs and demand of those who truly deserve government assistance. Another functions of NGOs are usually organized for the promotion of people welfare, especially in economically depressed and undeserved communities. Local autonomy refers to the capability of local government to elect their officials to exercise well-delineated and definite powers and functions and to tax. According to Article 10, Section 2, the territorial and political subdivisions shall enjoy local autonomy. In local autonomy, enable the LGUs to attain their fullest development as self-reliant communities and transform them into active partners in the attainment of national goals. It seeks to achieve this by providing for a more responsive and accountable local government. So, that's all in Chapter 2.